Hello and welcome to Saki Tech. In today's video, we will do a spec-by-spec comparison between the newly released Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition with Apple's iPad 4. Now, iPad 4 is still a significant tablet, but how does it compare to the Note 10.1 2014 edition? Let's find that out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is the design. iPad comes out on top in this category with its premium aluminum finish that we are used to seeing. It's solid and shiny, and when you hold it in your hand, it is clear that you paid good money for this sleek looking tablet. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 is an improvement over its predecessor, mainly due to the new back cover, which is still plastic, but it does profess a premium look and feel thanks to the fox leather finish. So what used to be the glossy and flimsy back cover is now replaced by this leather look-alike texture, which is also easier to hold and has a better grip. iPad wins quality-wise. There's a clear-cut difference in build quality. And next, we want to look at the dimensions. Samsung is thinner and lighter than the iPad. It weighs 547 grams, whereas the iPad weighs 662 grams. The weight difference is attributable to the build quality. Aluminum will weigh more than plastic. As for thickness, the Note is only 7.9 millimeters thick, while the iPad is 9.4 millimeters thick. And then the Note 10.1 is 243.1 millimeters in length and 171.4 millimeters wide, whereas the iPad is 242.2 millimeters in length and 185.7 wide. So now let's move on to the screen size and resolution. The Galaxy Note 10.1 comes with a super clear 10.1-inch LCD screen with a resolution of 2560 by 1600, which brings the pixel density to 299 ppi. iPad has a slightly smaller IPS LCD screen at 9.7 inches with a lower resolution of 2048 by 1536 pixels, which brings the pixels per inch to 264 ppi. Now, despite the higher resolution on the Note, there really is no noticeable difference in display quality, and this is mainly because both have a very high pixel densities per inch. So even though the Note has higher specs on paper, we can't assign a winner to either one of these tablets in this category. So let's take a look at the processor and the memory. Well, in this department, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 has monstrously better specs than the iPad. Let's spell these out. The Wi-Fi version of the Note 10.1 comes with an Exynos octa-core processor. Now, octa means 8, so we're talking about 8 total cores. Not all cores are clocked at the same frequency. So you get a 1.9 gigahertz quad-core processor plus a 1.3 gigahertz quad-core processor. So in total, you get 8 cores. Now, it does have a 3 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM and Adreno 330 graphics processor. These are some really impressive specs. There's also an LTE version of the Note 10.1, which ships with a Snapdragon 800 quad-core processor clocked at 2.3 gigahertz. Everything else is the same on this one. Now, the iPad comes with a dual-core A6X processor clocked at 1.2 gigahertz with 1 gigabytes of RAM. The graphics processor is PowerVR SGX554. At the end of this video, I will run a processor and memory benchmark on both of these devices. That should give us an idea between the processing power of the two. Both these tablets start with a 16 gigabytes of storage. However, the Note is more expensive, starting at $549, while the Apple starts at $499 in US markets. The Note comes with a micro SD slot, which allows you to add more storage as needed. Now, who doesn't love that? But let's move on to the software now. iPad runs on the latest version of iOS 7, which comes with some useful enhancements like the Control Center and the updated Notifications Center. The Samsung Galaxy Note runs on the latest version of Android 4.3 with Samsung TouchWiz Overlay. I usually don't like overlays, but TouchWiz brings some fantastic functionality and features, especially with the inclusion of the S Pen optimized software suite. So basically there's a whole suite of apps just for the S Pen. So in this category though, I will side with Samsung Note. Its operating system is simply much more feature-rich, appealing, and useful to me than iOS 7, which is virtually uncustomizable as opposed to Android. With Android, you can tweak the looks of your device to meet some very specific needs. I can have live widgets, I can move them around, I can empty my home screen completely if I want to show off a gorgeous background picture and such. With iOS 7, all you do is swipe left and right and launch apps. As for overall smoothness, Android with TouchWiz and iOS 7 are both very smooth. However, there was occasional stutter while working with TouchWiz, which simply didn't exist in the iOS 7. So the iOS 7 pretty much had no lag whatsoever. Now another important thing to note is that apps from the App Store on iOS 7 are definitely better designed, better looking, and better optimized. Though we have to make a clear distinction here. Samsung comes with built-in apps that are exceptional in quality and function, such as the S Pen apps and the Air Command functionality. But when it comes to App Store apps, iOS 7 offers better apps as opposed to the Play Store apps. So next, let's take a look at the camera. The Note 10.1 comes with a 2 megapixels front-facing camera and a 8 megapixel rear-facing camera, whereas the iPad 4 comes with a 1.2 megapixels front-facing camera and a 5 megapixels rear-facing camera. Now Samsung does have an LED flash on the rear, whereas iPad 4 doesn't. Cameras on tablets never appealed to me personally. In fact, I never use them. But for those of you that care, don't expect anything special on either one. Your pictures will lack sharpness and detail. You will be able to record in 1080p on both devices using the rear cameras. So next, let's talk about the battery. The Note 10.1 packs an 8,220 mAh battery, whereas the iPad 4 packs an 11,666 mAh battery. Both of these powerful batteries will last you a day, no problem. And you can be doing everything such as browsing, watching movies, listening to music, taking notes, reading, etc. iPad has a slight edge in battery life due to its larger battery. Finally, I'm going to talk about exclusive features. And the Note 10.1 does come with a very exclusive S Pen, which is a highly precise stylus capable of producing very accurate typing, sketching, and drawing, which is something entirely lacking on the iPad. Even if you buy a stylus for the iPad, it doesn't come anyway near to the capabilities of the S Pen. Remember, the Note 10.1 is designed from the get-go for finger and stylus use, and the iPad is only designed for finger use. Alright, so let's go ahead and launch the Geekbench benchmarking tool to measure the processor and memory performance. Let's make sure nothing is running in the background. Double tap, tap and hold, and no recent apps. Go to Task Manager, and let's clear the RAM, so clear memory. Perfect, we have 2 blank slates. So let's launch our apps here. There we go, the Geekbench 3. And then let's find it here in the apps. There it is, Geekbench. Oops. Okay, so let's run this tool. And just to clarify, the Geekbench tool measures the processor and memory performance across different platforms such as the iOS and the Android. So the results are going to be perfectly valid for comparison purposes. And looks like the Galaxy Note is done. So you've got a single core performance score and a multi-core performance score, which measures multiple cores. So iPad is done too. So let's take a look at these numbers. So the single core performance on the iPad is 780. On the Note you got 959. Multi-core performance on the iPad is 1424, and on the Note you got 2720. Okay, so the results do speak for themselves. The Galaxy is a newer device here, so it is going to be faster. And that should conclude our video here. Thank you for watching. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video, and also you can go ahead and connect with me socially on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, for which all the links are in the description below. Thank you again, and I'll see you the next time. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, just throw them down in the comments section below.